It's springtime here in New Zealand, and if you're a grape grower, it is probably one of the most vulnerable times of the year because you are very concerned about those very tender little flowers that are coming out. And that picture of them on my blog post, and they don't look like flowers; they look like little spiky little things. But they are so vulnerable to frosts and diseases, and things can just wipe out your harvest quite quickly. And so, grape growers often will have huge fans that they blow the cold air around to stop frost settling on the flowers. They might even employ helicopters to come and just to shift the early flowers, early frosts around. It's I have found for me and for many, I think probably for you as well, that it's in the early stages of change when you are most vulnerable to having that change stopped. And it's sabotage, like it's either a self-sabotaging thing where you start to say things to yourself and you shoot yourself down, or you get sabotaged by others who you mention a potential change and someone comes along and they throw a wet blanket of doubt and criticism over it, and the blossom of hope that you've got within you just withers up and dies. And I have learned to be very selective about whom I share my life with. An idea blossoms, and or potential change, and it's at risk of being frosted or attacked by disease. So I really only share it with only a very few people who I know will listen really well and with as much and treat it with as much care, loving care that I have. And saboteurs of change can come in many forms, can't they? Old thinking habits, friends, family, and even spiritual forces. That's what Ephesians 6 tells us. I wonder what comes early in your change process to destroy the potential harvest. Perhaps it's like a little fox, all right? And there's a little poem in the love story of Song of Solomon that says this: Catch us the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, for our vineyards are in blossom. And there is a tenderness in this proverb. The vineyards are in blossom, and the potential of an abundant harvest is laid out, but it's at risk. And the saboteur, it's a little fox. A little fox could just come in and destroy and eat the bark of the vine and ruin the potential of what could happen. And the Song of Solomon is a love story that speaks poetically of the romance between two young lovers, or older lovers, it doesn't really say. But early in the relationship, things can be tender. Words can be said, misinterpreted, false conclusions reached. And it's in the early stages, in the early days, when you're establishing a connection to shared values and beliefs with another person, the change is very vulnerable. And in the early days, we have to catch the little foxes, the subtle saboteurs that would sneak in and try to destroy the flowering of commitment and love. And this early stage of commitment was so important that a law was given in the Bible to protect this relationship vine. And here it is in Deuteronomy 24, verse 4. When a man is newly married, he shall not go out with the army or be charged with any related duty. All right? He shall be at home. He shall be at home for 1 year to be happy with the wife whom he has married. All right? So 1 year, you are there to really commit and to build that relationship. You weren't going to be distracted by fighting or war or anything like that. One of my favorite stories of rebuild and recovery is the story of Nehemiah and his rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem. And in this story of recovery, there are little foxes and the subtle and not so subtle saboteurs. And every one of them was to try and destroy the work that Nehemiah and the community was doing. And it was such a good story. I've actually written a little devotional book called Broken to Built. And it's like 31 days of little devotionals about rebuilding from the story of Nehemiah. And there'll be a link in the show notes. But here is one of those little examples of saboteurs. Now, when Sanballat heard that we were building the wall, he was angry and greatly engaged, and he mocked the Jews. Okay, there's a saboteur mocking. He said, in the presence of his associates and of the army of Samaria, what are these feeble Jews doing? Okay, he's mocking again, feeble. Will they restore things? Will they sacrifice? Will they finish it in the day? Will they revive the stones out of heaps of rubbish and burnt ones at that? All right, he was just having a real foxy go at them. And then another one, Tobiah the Ammonite was beside him, and he said, would that stone wall they are building, any fox going up on it would break it down. All right, he's saying, look, it's going to be so flimsy that even a fox, a small fox, would go up on it and it would crush it, break it down. He was mocking them. Look, have you ever started on something new and then been mocked, ridiculed, or shamed? Have you ever told yourself, what a waste of time? Perhaps others have told you that. Look, I've actually had at times been told that my writing, um, told that to me about my writing, shamed me about my writing, and, put out online. And it really hurt. But it was a little fox. So I caught it and threw it out of the vineyard of my mind. Gone. You're not going to have that place in my mind anymore. You're not going to have that role of critiquing my work and throwing crap at me about it. No, no more. Okay? And Nehemiah's saboteurs were like sending out sabotage messages through social media grapevine. They didn't have one, but there would have been whispers and they would have got back to the Jews. And this was a constant challenge for Nehemiah to catch the little foxes, to stop them from getting into the heart motivation of the people. And it says and carries on to say that the wall was completed because the people had a mind to work. And it says, so we rebuilt the wall, and all the wall was joined together to half its height, for the people had a mind to work. And it's a good question is, do you have a mind to work? Most people don't, okay? Most people don't have a mind to work on themselves and to, do the hard stuff. And look, after doing this sort of type of ministry for like 25 plus years, I've met probably only a handful of people who have truly dedicated themselves to the work of deep soul change. Most people, the progress gets nipped in the bud by little foxes, little saboteurs, little fears and challenges, all of which need to be caught and sent away. Uh, what are your little foxes? You want to make a change, but there's an old thought pattern clicks in, and the blossom withers away. You share a desire to change with someone, and immediately they pose problems. The blossom withers away. The change you want to see happens feels like a mountain. Oh, sorry about my voice. Like a giant mountain. And you feel like a little hobbit. Blossom withers away. People from your past throw ghost echoes at you. What you're wanting to build, a fox would fall on it and would walk on it and fall over. The blossom withers away. Perhaps you need to catch the little foxes that want to destroy what God is wanting to do in your life. I've written a poem. Help me catch my foxes, those that want to destroy the vine. They sneak in like a saboteur, all subtle and sublime. Help me see that furry cuteness has a sinister motive in store to take what you have planted in my soul, to steal, kill, and destroy. I'll catch the little foxes. I'll grab them by the tail, throw them out of the vineyard, let them weep, let them wail. Know the harvest, God, from blossom until harvest full. Keep me vigilant for enemies coming through. I'm building the Jerusalem wall, making something new, out of tired old rubble, rejected by many but not by you. Help me build a new life, each stone known by you. Build me with a neighbour, blossomed harvests coming through. Hey, hope you found this helpful. Let me know. Share this with somebody else. Hit the share on the YouTube link. Send it out. Like it. Comment on it. I really want this one to get out. Um, if you want a book copy of that book, Broken to Build, there's a link in the show notes. You can get it on Kindle and you can get it in a paperback version as well. But until next time, have a think about the saboteurs that will be trying to eat the bark of your recovery or your process.